The company where revenue has doubled year on year. The latest from podnews.net with the Dr. John Deloney Show. In an update posted today, Red Circle says that in the first half of this year, its host-read ad platform revenue more than doubled. The company closed Q2 23 in profit. It plans to invest further in its platform later this year. Podcast spend in Australia for Q2 23 was up by 64% year on year, according to ARN's iHeartRadio Australia and Magellan AI. The top three advertisers were health insurance company NIB, McDonald's and Amazon. For a time yesterday, Substack was blocking popular podcast app Overcast and the Podcast Index from accessing shows hosted on the platform. The shows are hosted using the Cloudflare CDN. Marco Arment, Overcast's developer, posts do not host podcast feeds behind Cloudflare. His short post also explains what settings to use if you do. We link to it today. Tink Media and the Democracy Group have announced media training and podcast placement services to authors, scholars and thought leaders in politics and beyond. Pod Shorty will turn any YouTube video into an AI-summarized podcast. It joins many others doing audio summary tools. And Squadcast is making an announcement live on YouTube today at 2 o'clock New York time. It's one of the biggest announcements we've ever made, the company says. And thank you to Rhapsody Voices for becoming our latest supporter. Rhapsody Voices represents leading content creators across audio and video podcasts, providing a custom solution for each show to drive revenue growth. Pod News supporters like them help fund our free news, jobs and events boards for everyone. And because we don't rely on either advertising or supporters, we can be objective in our reporting. So we'd love it if you too supported us. In People News, Acast has announced a number of new appointments in the US. Chief Business Officer for Acast globally will be Greg Glenday, joining from Lightbox. Ricardo Neto is VP of Sales US, joining from Spotify. Gabriella Gregoris has been promoted to Group Business Director of National Performance. Tiffany Ashty is now Interim US Managing Director. And Stephen Smick joins Acast's US Advisory Board. He'd been at Veritone One since the acquisition of Performance Bridge, where he was CEO. And in podcast news, TechCrunch Daily Crunch gives you the biggest tech headlines in a flash. Each episode is around 5 minutes long and updated every day from one of the biggest tech sites in the world. Dear Alana launched yesterday, the new podcast from Tenderfoot TV. It's a true crime podcast which focuses on Alana Chen, an aspiring nun who also went conversion therapy and pastoral counsel for more than 7 years after confessing to her priest that she was attracted to women. The truth of her story is investigated by Simon Kent Fung, who had a shockingly similar experience. And For You Pod is new from the Sonar Network this week. It's a new podcast for people who love and hate TikTok and don't really understand why. Comedian and content creator Sam Sferrazza and his best friend Lucas attempt to unpack the latest trends and horrors of the world of TikTok. This podcast is sponsored by the Dr. John Deloney Show. For practical advice on how to connect with people, face depression, overcome anxiety, and what it means to be well, find the Dr. John Deloney Show wherever you get your podcasts. And that's the latest from our newsletter. To read all the stories and subscribe, we're at podnews.net.